Highgate.
Right, I'm going to block up London.
Right, where is it?
You're right here.
Okay, all of the Kennedys, yeah?
Yep. So what I will do is, if you don't mind,
It's got a place called
I'll be all right
QUAVERS.
for just around 2 o'clock-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in there. Yeah.
That's why you're not dropped off here.
Better if I drop it at the top of the hill, to be honest. So I don't know, the people at the back probably didn't see, there was a van blocking the road and the bus took the side out. So if you wouldn't mind, if you walk down the lane there, I'll let the tour guide know you're on the way down and they will meet you. And then what I will do is meet you outside the main entrance down there.
The rich people look down on the poor people with some disdain. A fine example is when the Great Fire of London was eventually brought under control, and you can imagine the whole of London was on fire. They said, oh, we were lucky we only lost 10 people. And it was all the poor section, that's how much they cared. They lost thousands. But as they said, no, we only lost 10. How the hell would they know the whole of London's on fire? But that's how bad it was.
But we propose a listing to terriers who go round, but just for later or the other side. Yeah.
There's a few little things on this grave that'll give you a clue to what this man's job was. Like horseshoes, trumpet and a whip. And he wasn't a sadist. Yes, yeah, he was. That's quite good, so he was a coachman.
That was going to be my second guess.
And he and he used to do the London to Brighton run, and he was a gambling man, Selby. And his friends were all gamblers, so they bet him, and they were sure he'd lose at £1,000 if he could do London to Brighton in an hour. An hour and a half, I know. And his family always blamed it on the pressure of taking that bet on. Not for the fact that he was quite a heavy drinker. That had nothing to sign. It's actually IHS, which means the I'm losing the plot today. He owes the homine Salvador, which means...
Are there any war graves?
There are, sir. Some on the some this side, there's a lot over on the east side, and there's also a lot of families buried over there for the Blitz, about 250. And then found a Big Ben. So hence the tower, because it's in a quick, but House, you know, Parliament. Mould that I used for Big Ben. Just shut down that list like everything. Now it's got a good beach all over.
Yeah, so it's used. That's what you need.
Radioactive material in his tea and coffee, and it took him nearly 4 weeks to die. On the last week, just before he died, he called Scotland Yard in. He told them he'd been murdered and he named the 2 agents that had done it. They're both dead now. They'd gone to Russia, there was no way they were going to come back. And they both died of cancer related to exposure to radiation. So they got their comeuppance, but they were never going to be. It's safe for him to be buried here. They use material called polonium-210, which is low risk, currently low risk. That's how low risk it is. That's what I say. A total works away for life. He's in here in a sealed net.
Prestigious cemetery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it physician?
The Egyptian theme was quite very amongst the rich people, very popular. Queen Victoria put it on the map. The same Egyptian architecture was fantastic, and so the rich people cottoned on. And there's a lot of these in here. The copies of the 77. So there's loads and loads. Three parts. They don't even come out at night, it's too light for them. And then you're deep for that. And they're deep, yeah, right, that's almost everybody's reaction, including mine. It was quite sad. There's one there now, and it's probably about 18 feet high. When they wanted to put a new one in, they got in touch with Lebanese, with the embassy, because they wanted to put a big tree in to start with. You really used to go back before Welcome Novel called The Well of London in 1928, and it was a novel, and the first minute
on this one. I can use the wall. Yeah.
And then lead them all into the big top. And he had lions, tigers, monkeys, parrots, zebras, you name it. And so he went all up. He never went out of the country because because all these carriages were pulled by 6 horses. So you can imagine 20 carriages with 6 horses trying to get them on a ship to Ireland was virtually impossible. So he went all over the country, Wales, Scotland, south of England, north of England, and he was the only one. When he started off, there was no one else in the country in a circle. The elephant walked through the town, leading all the other animals on in their cages, and then leading all the rest of the top. If you want to, use your torches on your phones, because we'll be walking around. We're going to go that way down there, but if you want to take photos, you can have a look around with your torches as well. Come through. We'll only be about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to lock the door, guys, but I'll leave the key in the door. No, we have to, because we only come in here on tours. We don't come in here unless we're on tour. What do you think? When I first came in, I thought it was a bit gloomy, but it wasn't like that. When it first opened, it was all plastered and painted white. It had to be, it was really expensive. Any Game of Thrones fans in? Yes, no? I am. And in the last series, they filmed these people in the street with all fires and all shots, and that was filmed along here. And these were all made to look like shots. And you got that CGI, or whatever they call it. Any questions, folks, feel free. The floor's not wet, but it's a bit uneven. And there was an experiment done in here when this was finished. This was the first place in the UK where they used this new surface stuff. It was tarmac, and that was used in here and on the roof, because over the years that was 183 years ago, so probably it's all worn away now. Some of the coffins are in good nick, some are not. They're quite deep as well. They're not in bad condition. All the coffins were put in feet first, and the reason being that when anyone came to visit, they could talk to the head, talk to the loved one. Just be careful here.
This side's got 1 age 20 seconds.
It's amazing that
Age, isn't it, really? It's very unusual in some places.
Surgeon. The guy up there is 6'2", and he was a famous Victorian surgeon. His name was Robert Lister, and all his work was amputee. That was all of his work was amputee, and he introduced anaesthetic to the operating theatre, ether. He wasn't the first one to use it. A friend of his was a dentist, and he had a practice in London, and he used it, and he told him that it really works well, so he went and bought some of it. And the first person he used it on, he was taking an arm off. We don't know whether it was male or female, but they were losing an arm. So he rendered him unconscious. They normally put a cloth, you probably know, over his face, and then drip the ether on it, and that used to render him unconscious. And he did the operation, took the person's arm off, tidied it all up and cleaned it all up. And when he or she came round, they said to him, "Have you done it yet?" So he knew it worked. His other claim to fame was he could take a leg off in just over 2 minutes. Happy days, eh? Thank God for the NHS. Right the way through, from this end to the other, was all, again, remains. Bones, jewellery, skulls, everything. And this here, these were the bones around this part, so they put them all back in here. You're never going to be able to redo that. So they just put the remains in here. And then if you look closely in that one, with your torch, once I've shown you, you can see the back of the skull in that one. If you want to. So that was one they broke open as well. Awful people. Right guys, before we go out, this coffin here and this one here, they were both, when the chapel got the charity got, these two were hanging out the recess, so they pushed it back in, but that just gives you an idea what those people did. They crowbarred it all over, they tipped all the remains out, lit fires in here, stole jewellery, and they couldn't get into the doors, but they took some bars out up the top there, they climbed down and cut that out, so they could get in there. Horrible people. Got no time for people like that. Totally disrespectful.
What was his name, the leader?
David Farrant. David Farrant. Bit of a weirdo. I used to see him sometimes walking through Highgate Village, and from Guy's point of view again, he wasn't a bad-looking guy, but he was strange. He used to have long hair, he used to wear a Victorian frock coat, and he had that very pale, white, pale skin. A strange fella. When he died just before COVID, and came on our website, David's parents died, and another guy came out and was pretty good, but he said, did him?
Or torch.
Absolute nutcase.
Over in here.
Buried in here, was he?
Sorry?
He wasn't put in here, buried in here.
No.
This is we're in the catacombs at the moment.
What are we looking at? He was saying there was the back of a skull in there.
Is there hoping to rejoin the party?
That doesn't sound like it, does it?
Circle.
There we go, Father.
I'll have a word, see if we can move that.
When he died.
Yeah, that's the last person he built. 9-year-old daughter. Died later. She died in 1959. And he's a multi-millionaire. So he built this for her. It's amazing. Now this plot of ground here would now cost you thousands and thousands of pounds. He paid £850 for that. And he built this for 5,000 quid, but back in the day that would have bought a mansion. Loads of money back then. And it's amazing. Now you can have a look through the doors in a minute. This costs the charity 50,000 quid to get it back as it is today. For the next generation again, we don't go in there because the floor's a little bit iffy. There's a vault underneath and it's weak in the floor. It is amazing and it's fantastic. There's an altar right in the front and there's a marble angel on there carrying his daughter up to heaven. And when I swore behind the statue, looks just like his little girl. Now on the roof is mosaic and gold leaf from side to side and top to bottom. And somebody did the distance, longitude and latitude. Yeah. He actually as well, when he owned the newspaper, he could see this from his office. So we could look at it. And I look across there.
That YouTube.
All their champions on and beat them all. He was a really, really strong, tough guy. And it was legal, obviously, but there were so many crowds at his fights, nobody could ever stop it. And there was an American heavyweight champion, his name was Jack Heenan. He was Irish-American. And he challenged players, and he was that confident he could beat players that he said, I'll come to your country for 500, I'll fight you for £500. If it's a draw or you beat me, you'll get 500 quid. So he took him off. So the guy came over, Jack Heenan came over, and they set the fight up at Farnborough Common. And there was thousands there. I mean, I love boxing, I do like boxing myself, I'm a big fan. And they set the fight up and the ropes.